Let me ask you something. Would you still build it if you knew you'd never get to see it finished? Would you still plant the seed, knowing you'll be long gone before there's any shade to stand in? Most people already answered that, quietly, without ever saying it out loud. They decided that if the reward isn't theirs to collect, it isn't worth the work. I need to tell you why they're wrong. I come from a world that was already over. By the time I was old enough to understand what we'd lost, it was gone. The ones who could have saved it were already dead. The war was already lost. I never got to fight for the world I was born into. I only got to fight for whatever came after it. And there's a particular kind of silence in that, knowing the thing you're pleading for will never be yours to stand in. The man who taught me everything, he went to face it alone, to buy the rest of us a little more time. I woke up in the rain and found out he wasn't coming back. That was the day I understood what strength actually costs. It isn't won in the victory, it's forged in what you have to bury. Everything I became after that, I owe to a grave I stood over in the rain. And here's what I learned standing over it. He isn't gone, not really. Everything he believed in, every reason he had for fighting, it didn't die in the rain with him. It lives in me now, in what I do, in every battle I take that he no longer can. That's how the dead keep living, not in memory, in the things we carry forward on their behalf. He fought for a world he'd never see, and now, so do I. That's how I keep him alive. So I learned to look at the world a little differently than most people do. Most people live like it's a transaction. They give and they expect to collect. They work and they wait for the payout. They love and they keep a quiet score. And if the return doesn't come back to them in their lifetime in a shape they can hold in their hands, they call the whole thing a waste. That's a small way to measure a life, because the biggest things you will ever do, you will not be around to watch pay off. Here's something you've maybe never let yourself think about. Right now, the ground under your feet, the safety you take for granted, the simple fact that you get to worry about small things instead of fighting just to survive the day, somebody bought that for you. Someone you will never meet fought for a world they knew they would never live in, so that you could. They planted the tree. You're sitting in the shade, and you never even learned their name. Every good thing in your life was paid for by someone who's already gone. That isn't a debt, it's an inheritance, and the only honest way to receive it is to do the same for someone who comes after you. And I know exactly what part of you is resisting this. You want the credit. You want them to know it was you. You want to be in the room when it finally works, to see the faces, to hear the thanks. I understand that. I felt it too. But the purest things you will ever do are the ones no one claps for, the ones no one even sees, the sacrifice with no audience. That's the only kind that was never about you to begin with. If you can only give when someone's watching, you were never giving. You were trading. Real strength gives into the dark and asks for nothing back. There will be nights it feels pointless. When you're pouring everything you have into something you'll never see bloom, and a voice in you asks, "What's the point if I won't be here for it? Why break myself for a world that isn't even mine?" I've heard that voice, in the rubble, in the rain, more times than I could count, and every time I answer it the same way. Because the world does not get better by accident. It gets better because someone decided to pay for it and chose not to wait around to be thanked. The point was never to be there when it blooms. The point was to make sure it blooms at all. So let me ask you the real question now. What are you building that will outlive you? Who are you fighting for that can never pay you back? Maybe it's a child who won't understand what you protected them from until long after you're gone. Maybe it's people you'll never meet in a future you won't reach. Maybe it's just a version of the world that's a little less cruel than the one you were handed, passed quietly forward to someone you'll never know. That isn't a loss. That's the most meaningful thing a person can do with the short time they're given. To make the world better for someone who will never know your name. I didn't break the world I was born into. I inherited the wreckage of choices made before I could even speak. It would have been easy, fair even, to say, "This isn't my mess. Let it stay broken." I didn't cause this, but fairness and meaning are not the same thing. You can spend your whole life keeping score of what's fair to you, or you can spend it making things better for the ones who come next. You don't get to do both. I chose to fight for a world I'd never live in. Not because it was fair, because somebody had to. And the person who finally says somebody had to is usually the one who turns out to be somebody. I will never see the world I'm fighting for. That used to feel like a curse. Now I understand it's the proof that what I'm doing was never about me, that for once in this short, brutal life, I gave something for a reason bigger than my own reflection. So plant the tree, build the thing you won't see finished, fight for the people who'll never know your name, pour yourself into a future that doesn't have a place left in it for you. That's not throwing your life away, that's the only way to make it count. The world that comes after you is built by the few who understood they would never get to live in it. Be one of them.